Hi everyone. Small intestine. Small intestine is due to the smaller diameter, it is said to be the small intestine. The intestine is of small intestine and large intestine. Due to the smaller diameter, it is said to be the small intestine, whereas the large intestine is with the large diameter. That's the reason why it is a large intestine. Small intestine is the longest part of the alimentary canal. Longest part. Longest part due to its length. Generally it is 6.25 meters of the length. That's the reason why it is the longest part. And it is including the regions named to be duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Small intestine, first part is the duodenum. Duodenum measuring about 25 centimeters of the length. Duodenum is of 25 centimeters of the length. Jejunum 2.5 meters of the length, and ileum is of 3.5 meters of the length. So of this, small intestine ileum is the longest part. Duodenum. Duodenum we refer it as its length equivalent to, that is generally when 12 fingers are put together, the diameter of the 12 fingers when put together is what equivalent to the duodenum. That's what it got the name duodenum. It's equivalent to the diameter of 12 fingers. So it got the name duodenum, 25 centimeters. It is the part which is probably the almost all C-shaped in nature. C-shaped part is the duodenum. Duodenum is the part where iron absorption takes place. Duodenum is the part into which the hepato-pancreatic duct, the duct of the liver in a biological term, hepato, heart, cardia. Likewise, we give the terms. So, hepatic duct combined with the pancreatic duct and forms the hepato-pancreatic duct. Generally, from liver, the bile juice is what brought, and from the pancreas, the pancreatic juice. The hepatic duct, nothing but the common bile duct. The common bile duct, when combines with the pancreatic duct, results in the hepato-pancreatic duct, which is also named to be the ample of water. Ample of water. This ample of water or hepato-pancreatic duct opens into the duodenum and secretes its secretions, which includes the pancreatic juice and the bile juice. Bile juice an enzymeless secretion from the liver, which includes the bile salts and the bile pigments without the enzymes. And pancreatic gland, which secrete the pancreatic juice, those juices are released into the duodenum for the digestion. Basically, alkaline condition is very much needed for the what is called the digestion in the intestine. This alkaline condition is provided by the bile juice and the pancreatic juice. Under alkaline conditions, which is favorable for the fat digestion, for that region, the alkaline juices called the bile juice and the pancreatic juices are released in the duodenum. Duodenum, where the iron absorption also takes place. Next, jejunum. Jejunum is 2.5 meters of the length, and it is thicker than the ileum. Jejunum is the part which is redder, and it is thick, vascular in nature. Next, the ileum is 3.5 meters of the length, and is the longest part of the small intestine, 3.5 meters. Generally, the ileum is as well as the jejunum are held in a proper place by mesentery, a fold of peritoneum, held properly. A fold of the peritoneum connects the jejunum and ileum to the abdominal wall. This is how they are held in a proper place. Generally, all the internal organs, visceral organs are held in position by means of the peritoneum. That suspends the jejunum and ileum to the abdominal wall is named to be the mesentery. It is a peritoneum layer. Next, in the small intestine, we see there are the nodules of the lymphatic tissues are present. The nodules of the lymphatic tissues present all along the length of the small intestine. The nodules of lymphatic tissue present entire the small intestine are bunches or bundles in the ileum region. This bundles or bunches of the nodules of the lymphatic tissues are what named to be the Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches is said to be the secondary lymphoid organ. Generally, lymphatic system, which includes the primary lymphoid organs and the secondary lymphoid organs. The primary lymphoid organs we see are the bone marrow and thymus. Secondary lymphoid organs include Peyer's patches, tonsils. Tonsils are oral tonsils. We have earlier discussed. The tonsils are the lymphatic tissues which are the present at the oral region, oral tonsils, which is present in the form of a ring, Waldeisel ring. There we see the arrangement of lymphatic tissues in a circular manner, in a ring manner, which is a Walde's ring, which includes the pharyngeal tonsils. Next, the tubal tonsils, palatine tonsils, and the lingual tonsils. Those are the oral tonsils, whereas the abdominal tonsils called appendix. So, these are all what comes under the secondary lymphoid organ, including the Peyer patches, which is the nodules of the lymphatic tissues, which are present on the small intestine. Particularly, they are bunches or bundles manner in the ileum, name it to be the Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches. Now, let's see how they play a role in the, since it is a secondary lymphoid organ refers to the immunity. It produces the production of the lymphocytes. A kind of the WBCs are produced from the Peyer's patches. So, it is immune purpose. And apart from that, if we observe the histology of the gut, there are 4 layers we find. The histology, tissues, the study of tissues. The gut, which is with the layers, name it to be the outer serosa, then muscular layer, then submucosa and mucosa. The mucosa layer, what forms finger-like projections? The finger-like projections in the innermost layer of the gut, particularly the mucosa, what form finger-like projections in the small intestine, name it to be the villi. Villi increase the surface area of absorption. A villi is with the blood capillaries, and it is with the lymph capillary. The lymph capillary of the villi is named to be the lacteals, and the blood capillaries, the artery that is whose extension into the tissues as arteriole and capillaries, from where the capillaries, veins takes away the waste from the tissues. So the arterioles ends in capillaries, arteries ends in capillaries, veins start with the capillaries that are what present in the villi. Villi are increase the surface area of absorption, which includes the blood capillaries, that is the arteries, arterioles and capillaries, veins, venules and capillaries. So capillaries are associated with the villi, blood capillaries, and also it is with the lymph capillaries, name it to be the lacteals, which increase the surface area of absorption. Villi increase the surface area of absorption. These villi are absent on the Peyer's patches. As they have a particular function called the production of the lymphocytes. Next, apart from that, all along the length of in the case of the small intestine, we find circular fold of mucous membrane. The circular fold of mucous membrane is named to be the plica circularis, or walls of Kerkringa. In the small intestine, there is a circular fold of mucous membrane, name it to be the plica circularis or valve of Kerkring. This valve of Kerkringa increases the surface area of absorption. It is of increasing the absorption surface. So collectively, we come to know the two parts, named to be the Peyer's patches and valves of Kerkring. Peyer's patches, production of the lymphocytes, and the plica circularis or valve of Kerkring for increasing the surface area of absorption. This is about the small intestine. Now the functions. The functions include of the small intestine. The functions of the small intestine are complete digestion of the food. The food is digested. The food that we take includes the macromolecules, which is the proteins, carbohydrates, fats is what we take. These are, however, the water and the minerals are also part of the balanced diet. But the case of the carbohydrates, proteins and fats, which are macromolecule, needs to be undergo the what is called conversion from a complex into simpler, which is done by means of the enzymes. Enzymatic digestion is chemical digestion. Proteins are already partly digested in the stomach. These partly digested proteins are completely digested. However, the carbohydrates are also partially digested in the buccal cavity by salivary enzyme. So, this process of digestion is completely taking place in the small intestine. Complete digestion of the carbohydrates, proteins and the fats. Besides that, nucleic acids are also digested. Then, the absorption of the digested food into the blood and the lymph, that is the second function. Third function is small intestine is of secreting the hormones called cholecystokinin, enterogastrone, enterocrinin, vilicrinin, diocrinin are the hormones. Process of digestion also require the hormonal action. This is the reason why we learn the gut is of secreting the hormone, gastrointestinal hormones. Already we discussed in the stomach, the gastrin is the hormone released, which stimulate the secretion of the gastric juice. In the same way, in the small intestine also, the hormones are released. So, in intestine, besides the complete digestion, increasing the surface area of absorption, that is the absorption of the food into the blood and lymph, the secretion of the hormones of the enterogastrone, cholecystokinin, enterocrinin, velicrinin, diocrinin. These are the functions of the small intestine. Next is the large intestine. Large intestine. Large intestine is of the larger diameter, hence it is named to be the large intestine. The large intestine is of about 1.5 meters of the length. It's of 1.5 meters of the length, and it includes the three parts named to be the cecum, colon and rectum. Cecum. Cecum is the next part of the small intestine, and it is with a blind projection, of finger, like a blind projection arise from the cecum is named to be the appendix. Appendix is also named to be the abdominal tonsils or vermiform appendix. The appendix, which is a vermiform appendix, is an abdominal tonsil. So the same earlier we have seen, nothing but it is made up of lymphatic tissues that in the abdomen, so abdominal tonsil. It is vestigial in human beings, whereas the appendix and cecum are well developed in the case of the herbivores, which is vestigial in human beings. Certain times of the infection, particularly contamination of the food and water, the entamoeba infection to the human beings results in inflammation and swelling of the vermiform appendix, named to be the appendicitis, which is entamoeba's infection. Entamoeba is tolytica. Tetranucleatic cystic stages can be contaminated with the food and water, they enter into the human beings. Then if they enter into the vermiform appendix, it is inflamed and swell, that is appendicitis. Next, cecum lead into the colon. Colon is the part which includes the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon and sigmoid colon. Colon is the part which includes the three longitudinal column. The three longitudinal column of the colon are named to be the tinea coli. Tinea coli. Besides that, there are the pouches. The pouches in the colon are named to be the haustra. So the colon is characteristic feature of the tinea coli and haustra. Colon lead into rectum. Rectum is the part which is with the 2 centimeter length anal column, which open outside by means of an opening named to be the anus. It is with it open outside by means of an opening called the anus. Generally, the gut open outside by anus. Such gut is named to be the tube-like gut. In general, in the animalia, in the kingdom animalia, in the animals, there are two types of the gut. One is a sac-like gut and another is the tube-like gut. The gut that starts with the mouth, that ends with the anus, is named to be the tube. A tube will have two openings, one in the front side and one in the later. The same way, here the case with the Nematohelminthes to the mammals, they are with the tube-like gut. Through mouth the food is taken in and through anus it is sent out. So it is one way gut it is said to be. Through the mouth the food is taken in and through anus it is sent out. Whereas the case with the sac-like gut, it is named to be the two-way gut, which is an incomplete gut, which is a sac-like gut. Here it is a tube-like gut, and it is a one-way, and it is complete gut. Anus is the part which is the anus is an opening. What we name it is a opening. This opening to the outside and eliminates the undigested food to the outside, which is named to be the digestion. This anus is surrounded by means of the sphincters. Earlier we have seen in the case of the stomach, there are the cardiac sphincter and the pyloric sphincter. The same way, anus is surrounded by means of the sphincters. The two sphincters surrounding the anus is named to be the external sphincter and internal sphincter. External and internal. The external sphincter is of striated muscles, and it is made up of the voluntary muscles. External sphincter is of striated and voluntary muscles. It is, which means it is regulated. It is under the control of the will of the human beings. That's what it is, voluntary. External sphincter. Whereas the internal sphincter is of smooth muscles, so it is involuntary. So this is what the anus, an opening to the outside. Generally, we do see the anus is with the enlargement of anal columns in the anal canal and the anus. There are enlargement of the veins, the enlargement of the veins in the anal canal or anus is what observed in the anus. The enlargement of veins means swelling of the veins in the anus, which is named to be the hemorrhoids or piles. It is one of the disorders. So these are the enlargement of the veins. If veins associated with the anus are normal in condition, they are present inside the body itself, but when it is enlarged, it leads to coming out of the anus. It may be ruptured, and it may be chance of the infection, bacterial infection, other microbial infections, which is said to be the piles or hemorrhoids. So this is entirely about the gut, which start with the mouth. Mouth lead into the buccal cavity, then into the pharynx, which is a common passage for food and air, which is of naso, oro and laryngo, then into the esophagus, then it into the stomach into the small intestine, which is of duodenum, jejunum and ileum, and these jejunum and ileum are held in place by mesentery. Next, the Peyer's patches and the valve of Kerkrings are part of the small jejunum and the ileum. Small intestine lead into the large intestine, which includes the cecum, colon and rectum. Rectum open outside by anus. This is the entire description of the gut. Now we'll go for the histology of the gut. Histology of the gut, study of tissues, is named to be the histology. That is the epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues and the nervous tissue. Now, how these tissues are associated with the gut is what named to be the histology of gut. What we are about to learn now is what are the tissues associated with that of the gut. Gut histology includes the serosa layer, which is said to be the visceral peritoneum, which is also named to be the serosa.